Welcome back to My Comic Life, folks. That's right, My Comic Life. We are your number one podcast for all things geek, nerd, movies, TV, comic books, video games, pop culture. If you're into any of that, stop. You have found the podcast for you. My name is Sam, and joining me each week in the My Comic Life studio, folks, I just found out before the podcast started. Not only is he the tattoo artist to all the superheroes, not only is he the dry cleaner to all the superheroes, but apparently he is also the private tutor to all the superheroes. Just found out, Alex, you helped tutor Daredevil and She-Hulk to pass the bar exam? Dude, where do you find the time in life, man? Where do you find the time?
I do a lot more than that, man. I tutor as much as I can. I taught Namor how to swim. I taught Batman how to detect. It's a gift, really. It's like my passion, I think. But folks listening at home, how are you guys doing this week? We are super excited to be bringing you our first official episode of season three. We had a little bit of a teaser last week, just so that way we can make sure we stay on schedule with our uh, episodic segment of the show. But this is the first official episode of season three. Sam, how are you doing? How are you feeling about it?
Man, I'm excited. Just exciting things are happening with this show in season three. We just officially launched on Spotify, so I mean, like, I got goosebumps. I'm looking to expand us over to Google and maybe Amazon in like the next week or two. Man, My Comic Life season three. As you said last week, man, we're gonna kick this off and make this the best season yet. This show is growing at an exponential rate, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited to get new listeners on board and to try out new show ideas, man. Like I said, I am a very excited host here. Man, yeah, like I said, I just can't say it so much. I am excited for My Comic Life here. Sir, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
Man, I'm super jazzed about it. I can't wait to see what this next kind of step in our journey has for us. I will say, first and foremost, we couldn't do it without you guys, the listeners that have supported us for a very long time, have been there with us through the ups and the downs, the big long breaks. Sometimes, things kind of get crazy when you're trying to schedule things in the studio. I'm glad that you guys had your patience with us. You guys, support the hell out of us. Your comments, your um, the things that you suggest. We read them all. We love you all, and we appreciate you guys very much for the love and support that you guys show us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are a show of the fans, for the fans, by the fans, man. And Alex, are you ready to delve into this episode?
Absolutely, let's get it.
All right. Starting off on sort of video game TV news here. Video game TV news The Last of Us. During a showcase of HBO Max's original programming, we were treated to a very brief 29-second teaser for The Last of Us, an original series based on the popular video game of the same name. Alex, just right out of the gate here, sir, are you familiar with the video game rendition of The Last of Us?
Yes, I am very much so. The second one, not so much. I didn't really play that one, but because I had made the jump to PC right before it came out. But the first Last of Us game part, I guess they would call it part one. It was absolutely stunning. It was game of the year type quality. I had a blast playing it, and it was one of those games that just kind of it's almost like a generational kind of game that comes along. Your Ocarina of Times, your like God of Wars, your COD 4 Modern Warfare. It was like in that upper echelon of games that really kind of set the bar high for the remainder of the games that release after it. I had a blast playing it. I did multiple playthroughs. I played the multiplayer game mode. Like it was just like I was all about that game when it first came out. What about you, Sam? Did you ever get to experience The Last of Us?
Oh yeah, huge fan of The Last of Us. The Last of Us is a great video game. A video game has made a lasting impression on me when I buy it on like PS3, and then when they release like a more definitive or like HD version on PS4, I go out and buy it and play that too. Yeah, this is just a great story, a very, scary at times, but just scary, fun, awesome video game. Just a blast to play through from start to finish. It's got great stealth, great action, well-written characters, a very, like I said, just a very dynamic story that really captivates you and really pulls you into this world. Like the writing does a really great job of creating a very believable kind of post-apocalyptic and infectious world that The Last of Us is set in. Yeah, huge fan of this video game. Great voice acting too here. I mean, you couldn't have a good video game without great voice acting. So yeah, all that is just. I mean, it just makes for an amazing game. And yes, The Last of Us was made by Naughty Dog Studios. The video game company is responsible for titles such as the Crash Bandicoot series, the Uncharted series, and of course, the Last of Us series. Are you a fan of Naughty Dog and their other series as well?
I would say, yeah, I played a good portion of their game. I played every single Uncharted game. I love the Uncharted series. I even, matter of fact, I watched the Uncharted movie like I think last week, and it was not bad. I thought it was gonna suck. I'm not gonna lie. I went in thinking it was gonna suck, but watching it, I actually had a really good time. It's pretty brief. It's quick. Uh, all the actors play pretty well off of each other. The villain is convincing, and it kind of really, I know you and I kind of felt this way about uh, Moon Knight, where we thought it was going to be this kind of swashbuckling Indiana Jones type adventure, and we left feeling that we didn't kind of get the fulfillment that we wanted. But this absolutely just hit the nail on the head, man. It was tons of action, puzzle solving, all the great things that you loved from the video game. But I digress. I will say, uh, absolutely, I'm a big fan of the Naughty Dog games. I think some of their first stuff was the Crash Bandicoot and Jack and Daxter, I think, or something like that. And then they moved on to a lot more, um, a lot. I'm not going to say polished, but a lot bigger in stature type of games like the Uncharted and the Last of Us and stuff like that. And I've played damn near all of them, and I love them. So, but as far as my favorite one, I think the Oh man, it's really hard to pick, especially in the Uncharted series. So I'm gonna just say Uncharted 2 is probably my favorite video game out of the Naughty Dog catalog that I've played. What about you, Sam? Are you familiar with the Naughty Dog video game arsenal? And do you have a favorite Naughty Dog video game?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Naughty Dog. I've been following Naughty Dog, and this may date me a little bit, but I've been following Naughty Dog since PS1. Got the very first Crash Bandicoot game. Played that, loved it, thought it was kind of wacky, zany, fun. Huge, like you, huge fan of the Uncharted series. I've started the Uncharted movie. I'm sorry to say, I had a little bit too much whiskey the night I started it, and I kind of passed out in the middle of it there. But the half I saw, I didn't want to go in liking that movie because Nathan Fillion was not playing Nathan Drake, but damn it, Tom Holland and Marky Mark sold me there, and I ended up really enjoying that. I just need to go back and finish the last half of that movie. And yes, of course, big fan of the Last of Us series. To me, The Last of Us 2 ran a little long in places. Minor spoiler here for that video game. Um, you first play through like the first like bulk of the video game as Ellie, and then it shows you sort of like the villain's perspective and how they met up with Ellie, and so you play through like their side of the story as well, which I get. It's kind of cool showing both sides of the story. But for me, just like the length of time it took to play through just Ellie's campaign, and like I thought I was getting to the end of it, and then you flip me around and take me back to the beginning and have me play as a whole other character, almost. And like I said, it was cool seeing things from their perspective, but I got a little burned out and I never quite finished The Last of Us 2. I do plan to go back and finish it. As for my favorite Naughty Dog game, I mean, you and I once again we're having a Charles Xavier Magneto moment here. Um, we are on the same wavelength. Yeah, it's Uncharted 2. Uncharted 2 is just a great game, and that whole series is just phenomenal. So yeah, Uncharted 2 is definitely my favorite Naughty Dog video game. Um, but the Last of Us series is, yes, of course, based on the aforementioned video game. and will be written and executive produced by Craig Mazin, who worked on HBO's Chernobyl, and Neil Druckmann, who worked on The Last of Us 1 and 2 and Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. The first season of the series is rumored to cover most, if not all, of the events from the first video game and follows Joel and Ellie as a pair connected through the harshness of the world they live in. Both are forced to endure brutal circumstances and ruthless killers on a trek across a post-pandemic America. With rumors stating that the first season will stick pretty close to the events of the first video game, what are some of those key moments that you're looking forward to seeing, being brought to live action, Alex?
A lot of the best parts of that first Last of Us video game were like this. It was like the yeah, it had great action. It had scary moments. It had kind of that puzzles and stuff that you're looking for, but it also had that Naughty Dog kind of like charm that they have in almost every video game that they publish. Uh, and it's those moments. It was like so when you start the video game, it may be a little bit of a spoiler here if you haven't played the first game, Last of Us game yet. It's really kind of your fault because the game is like what, like 10, 12 years old. But um, you start out as Joel, and you meet up with Ellie through some circumstances, and you don't like Ellie to begin with. So, and then you learn to you grow closer to her as the game progresses, and you share these small moments with her. And I will say, for example, one a scene that I would love to see given live action was when they're in the city, and I think that they see those giraffes just like kind of
Yes.
walking through the city as it's been overgrown by, um, by nature and stuff like that. Like small moments like that, I would like to see, uh, kind of make that jump from the video game to the live action moment. It's just like the charm. I just want to make sure that that's like in that is a pivotal part of this series for sure. But what are some of the moments that you look forward to seeing in the live action rendition of The Last of Us?
Oh man, some of the parts I'm looking forward to seeing. I mean, like there's a kind of a sneaking mission toward the beginning where I can't remember. You're either like sneaking through a mall or like a train station. It has been a while since I played it. But there are clickers or screechers or whatever they call them, and they're everywhere. And like you have to like throw bottles and cans like left and right to avoid them. So like that would be cool to see brought to life, just because that could be a very high tension moment. Like you, yes, seeing the giraffes roam the wild of, I believe, Denver, it was.
Right.
That would be interesting to see. And then the third, although I don't know how well you could do this, like there's a pretty scary yet massive boss fight that takes place in a school gym, where
Oh,
you're
with the
going up against.
bloater or whatever it is.
Yes, yes, that was creepy and like having to like construct like nail bombs on the fly. I know you can't incorporate all that, but that was a really great just action set piece in that video game that I definitely remember. And those are like three things I would love to see brought to life. Now, the series stars friend of the show Pedro Pascal, who we all know from The Mandalorian, Wonder Woman 1984, and Game of Thrones as Joel Miller, and Bella Ramsey from Game of Thrones as Ellie Williams. In the first video game, Joel is a survivor in a post apocalyptic America that had been ravaged by the cordyceps brain infection. After losing his daughter Sarah in the early stages of the outbreak, Joel became a ruthless and cynical smuggler, eventually tasked with smuggling and protecting Ellie Williams, a young girl who was the key to mankind's survival. Joel eventually forms a strong bond with her. So I got to ask you here, man, is Pedro Pascal a good pick for Joel Miller, or who would be your fan cast for this role?
Oh man, you know what I'm gonna say.
Are you going to say
You know,
Oded Fur?
you know what I'm gonna say, dude. Like, let's get this man into something, man. Please.
Oh my gosh.
I'm starting to fiend. Like, I need my Oded fix, bro. It's driving me nuts. But no, in all honesty, I would say I think that Pedro Pascal could definitely bring the heat when it comes to this. I can't wait to see him. I mean, the man can act in a full suit of armor with a mask on, as he does in The Mandalorian, and it still makes me kind of like feel for the character. But so we have seen him already kind of in that role where he gets tasked with kind of escorting uh, a package or a person and kind of not wanting to do it to begin with, but then learning to love the person. So we've seen him. He's able to. We know he's able to do it. It may be, but it just may be a little too on the nose and a little bit too much of like the same thing. If you kind of get what I'm saying. So I would, if I could go back and somebody other than Pedro Pascal, even though he's great, dude, friend of the show. I mean, come on the show, Pedro. I'd love to talk with you about Mando. Love to talk with you about Wonder Woman 1984. uh, but I think my fan cast would definitely be John Bernthal because I think someone. All I can see is him at that very first stage of the game where you're trying to carry your daughter and they end up like forcing you to stop and like shooting you and killing your daughter and stuff like that. I could definitely see John Bernthal like bringing the heat when it comes to something like that, and you definitely uh, he's definitely going to make you feel that pain. And I think as far as Joel being like a grizzled and gruff and kind of like beaten down by society kind of individual who's just trying to make it to the next day, make it to the next meal. I think John Bernthal has that in spades. But what about you, Sam? Who would be your fantasy fan cast for Joel Miller?
Well, first of all, yes, again, Pedro Pascal, friend of the show, please come on. We'd love to have you. I think Pedro Pascal, again, is almost perfect casting. Like, excuse me, did an amazing job casting here. So yeah, no real objections to Pedro Pascal because you're right. I mean, like the guy was amazing in Game of Thrones, and yes, he makes us feel for the Mandalorian, and we never or well, hardly ever see the Mandalorian's face. That being said, two runner-ups to this that I would not have been offended if either one of these guys were cast. One would be Viggo Mortensen of Lord of the Rings fame. I think he's got the right face for it. If he grew a beard, he would have the right scruff for it. I think he has the right attitude and gravitas, if you will, as an actor to play sort of like a jaded father figure that Joel is to Ellie. So yeah, Viggo Mortensen, and then another friend of the show, uh, Timothy Oliphant. I think Timothy Oliphant could do this role justice. Dare I say,
No way, dude.
yes.
I love Timothy Oliphant, but there's no way he can make a good
What?
Joel. I'm
You
sorry,
don't think he could play Joel?
I'm sorry. There's just it would have to be some kind of like Matthew McConaughey level of renaissance in that man's career for me to see him be like super serious in a super dramatic role like The Last of Us has. I mean, hey man, kudos to you, bro, because you have the vision, but I just can't see it. I'm sorry.
Man, Dark Horse there. I know Dark Horse, much like casting Michael Keaton as Batman in 1989. But yeah, I think after going back and rewatching Justified for like the third or fourth time, man, there are moments in there where like he sells me that yes, like he can do this, man. He can do this. So yeah, so my two picks, apparently you don't like one of them.
I mean, I'm with you on when it comes to Vigo. He already did what was that, The Road back in
yeah, the
like
rotor.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that I could see, but man, just no. I'm sorry. He just has one of those faces where I just be like, I'm watching Timothy Oliphant right now, and it just would not happen to me. I don't care how long his beard is. I'm gonna be like, yo, that's my guy right there on there. So for sure,
All right.
but
Well, and
that
also
being said, I mean it also stars Bella Ramsey, as you said, as Ellie Williams. Do you think that's a
yes.
good pick?
Yeah, I think that's a perfect pick. The only person I ever wanted to see play Ellie was like Ellen Page from like her Juno years, and clearly she is well past her or he. Now, pardon me, he is past
I was gonna say
his.
Elliot Page.
Yes, Elliot Page. Yeah. I don't know. Something in that voice to me in the video game sounded a lot like Elliot Page to me, and so I always thought he could have played Ellie. Kind of back in like the younger days, could have played Ellie very well, but no, not now. He is on to bigger and better things with the Umbrella Academy, and that's an excellent series. But yeah, I always saw Elliot Page in the role of Ellie originally, um, and really, I mean, not too many more actresses come to mind. Really, what about you? Did you have anybody in mind for this role?
Yeah, I think other than the obvious, and I think that's who they actually based Ellie on was, Elliot Page back in the day. And I want to say there was like an actual like court case and everything that came up as a result. But I mean, Bella Ramsey's a great pick. She did pretty well as I think she was a Mormont. She was like the Mormont daughter or something on Game of Thrones. So she did a very good job there. She's good. She has dramatic roots, and she has ties to HBO. She's worked with the company before, so she kind of has everything going for her when it comes to um, filming this. And I mean, I think it's a solid pick. I think they're both very, very solid picks. So that's definitely this is definitely going to be one that I'm gonna that's going to get be on my radar for sure.
Well, that being said, what did you think of the teaser, and is this going to be a day one watch for you?
The teaser did its job, man. It didn't really give away too much. I don't know how closely they're going to stick to the first video game, or if it's going to be kind of like The Walking Dead, where they kind of stray from the original story a little bit. But even if it is like shot for shot with the video game, it's still going to be really good. And I can't wait to see how they do some of the major scenes that you get to see in the video games. And I can't wait for both Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. And what is his name? He's from. This is going to kill me. You see him very briefly in the 29-second teaser as the guy that you meet before you have the school fight.
Joel's
The guy,
brother?
no, not Joel's brother. Joel's brother is the one you meet at the dam when you're trying to get the hydropower going again. I'm talking about the guy who like creates traps and he's the one that teaches you how to make the nail bombs and everything. So when you fight that bloater, um, it'll come to me. But I definitely am going to check this one out. This is going to be a day one watch for me. I am going to be sitting there on probably on a Sunday when it releases, and I'm definitely going to be watching it. And hopefully, if it spurs enough interest, we'll be using this one and covering it in our episodic segment of the show. But Sam, what did you think of the trailer? And is this going to be a day one watch for you?
The trailer looked fantastic. It was too short for me. I wanted more. I wanted more. I wanted more. They did a really great job of creating the world of the video game and really making it like look realistic and come to life. And yeah, and it looks like we're definitely going to get some of those key moments from the video game. It looks like they're definitely paying fan service here in like the best way possible. Like I said, the characters look great. The world looks believable. I am excited for this. This is definitely going to be a day one watch for me. That being
I will say, sorry.
no,
I
go
just
ahead.
looked it up. It's Nick Offerman, and he plays Bill in the
Oh, Nick Offerman from The Office. I mean,
yeah. Oh,
from
from
Parks and
Parks and
Rec.
Rec. Yeah, he's
Oh my
playing Bill,
gosh, he's going to be perfect in this world. Yes.
and Gabriel Luna is the one that plays Tommy. He's the one that plays your the brother. So
Okay, okay, okay.
absolutely.
Well, sadly, The Last of Us does not have an official release date as of yet, but it will arrive on the HBO Max platform sometime in 2023. So keep listening for any updates as we get closer to the release of the official trailer and the series premiere. All right, jumping from the video game side of things to the Disney Plus TV side of things, we are about to get into She-Hulk Attorney at Law. If you have not seen the second episode of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, pause the podcast here, go watch it on Disney Plus. Come back here and pick the podcast up. I'm going to give you that oh so famous, oh so fabulous, oh so awesome My Comic Life spoiler countdown, and then we are going to get into it. So here we go, folks. 4, 3, 2, 1. You're about to get spoiled. The second episode of Marvel Studios' She-Hulk Attorney at Law premiered August 25th of this year and is entitled Superhuman Law. It is directed by returning showrunner Kat Coiro and is written by an also returning Jessica Gao, both teamed up for the series premiere. Walters gains public notoriety after defeating Titania and is dubbed She-Hulk. However, the case is declared a mistrial after the defense successfully argued that her fight with Titania influenced the jury and she is fired from the district attorney's office. Unable to find other work, Walters is offered a position by the opposing counsel, Goodman, Lieber, Kurtzberg, and Holloway, or GLK and H for short, and impulsively accepts. On her first day at GLK and H, partner Holden Holloway informs her that he wants her to head up the firm's new superhero law division and work as She-Hulk full-time. Her first case is to represent Emil Blonsky / Abomination at his parole hearing. Though initially reluctant due to Blonsky's past attempt to kill her cousin Bruce Banner, Walters gets Banner's approval and she accepts the case. However, soon she learns Blonsky escaped from the prison and participated in an underground fight club. Oh man, with just a runtime of 28 minutes, this is reported to be the shortest episode of this season. Last week's episode was 35 minutes. There are some saying that Marvel Studios should have combined the first two episodes to give the audience the opportunity to learn more about the characters in the show. Alex, do you agree or disagree?
I guess I agree to both, man. I agree to a point because yeah, any chance for me to get more Marvel Studios content in one go, absolutely, I would love the opportunity to be watching an hour long, and I think they might have been able to kind of uh, I don't know because at the same time it's like I disagree because dividing it up into two separate episodes gives them a little bit more time. And it's a show. I think you and I both said in the first when we covered the first episode that this show doesn't really have a lot to trim off of it to begin with. So it's like, where would you kind of trim here and there in order to get it to like a 1 hour long one episode? Because you're not going to really hold in audience members for that long watching something like this that's not like an actual movie. So I think that they did good as far as dividing up the two episodes. I like the kind of brief little 30-minute show, the run times, because it is kind of it's very reminiscent of those like a sitcom, because that's what I kind of get out of this out of watching the show is that it's very sitcomish with her, breaking the fourth wall and kind of these little self-contained little episodes, and with a very overarching kind of storyline just kind of hanging out in the background. So I think I lean more to the disagree side as far as uh, joining the two together, but I could see where these people's gripe comes from. Absolutely. But what about you, Sam? Do you agree or disagree that this should have these first two episodes should have been kind of melded into one big one?
Disagree, man. Each one of these episodes was beautifully written. It had a very great beginning, middle, and end. I did not feel like I felt like I got enough out of the characters. I did not feel like these episodes needed to be run together. Like I said, there was plenty of character development in all the episodes that I've seen so far. The first episode was all about setting up, Jennifer's backstory as to how she became the Hulk, and training with her cousin and all that stuff. Now the second episode is, hey, what happens after the trial? These are two great standalone episodes with two great standalone stories to tell. These did not need to be combined at all. I don't get where people are coming from with this idea that you needed to run these two together. And this one felt like a full 30-minute show to me. Like, I didn't even realize it was 28 minutes. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I didn't feel like I got shorted on anything at all. That being said, though, Not much action in this episode, but the story did move fast regardless. So Alex, what were some of your favorite moments from this week's episode?
I really liked when she was on the phone with Bruce, and obviously, yeah, it's really funny. The whole, I was a completely different person back then. Literally, kind of the elbow nudging. I'm sitting here, like I even like paused the show and I turned to Britt. We were watching it together, and I was telling her like, oh, this is because back in the day, the Hulk was being played by Edward Norton, and she's like, "Can you please just play the episode? I really don't care." So it's like it was one of those things where it was like for fans like you and I that know about it, but it wasn't kind of like it's not you didn't miss anything if you didn't know that information. And I will say there was another part that I really liked in this show. It was it'll have to come back to me later. I just had it, but mainly it was her interaction with um at the very end when they talk about how Blonsky escaped from prison and participated in an underground fight club. I thought that was really cool because it's like the first time that you get to that it links the show to like that any of the shows have been kind of linked to the events that happened in Shang-Chi. So it was really cool to watch that. And the last thing, if this is one of those blink and you miss it kind of things, but there is I want to say if she's on a reading a newspaper or a magazine or something, and there are a couple of articles in there. One of the articles is titled something along the lines of like "What's up with the giant stone man that's sticking out of the ocean?" And I thought that was really cool because I think during our break I sent you that meme where it was like, we've had three properties so far, and none of them have even mentioned the events of the Eternals. So it was kind of nice to finally get them to be like, hey, there's a giant stone statue that is sticking out of the ocean. What's going on with that? And then the second headline was something along the lines of like, man with knives for hands gets into a bar fight. So it's like, all right, now we're starting to get into the meat and potatoes, and we're going to get this Wolverine that everybody's been waiting for in the MCU. So they're kind of teasing it, and I like the way that they're going with it. So I definitely can't wait to see what if I don't think they're gonna build any more upon that in this show. I'd be absolutely shocked if they did, but um, that's probably it for me. Apart from at the end of the phone call with Bruce, when you see him hang up and he's in the Sakaran ship and he's headed out to kind of investigate that, so it kind of leads to you know hopefully we're going to get more of a storyline with Hulk in it, and it was just like you said, it wasn't full of a lot of action, but it did have like a lot of substance in it and a lot of little things that you could notice and stuff. So I absolutely enjoyed this show a lot, this particular episode a lot. But what about you, Sam? What were some of your favorite moments from this week's episode?
I loved the whole family dinner scene. Like I have been to family dinners like that. Especially like the mom, just inquiring about the life and possibly trying to like, set her up on dates or like giving like random people her phone number to like talk to them about stuff. And you're like, geez, mom, like, why are you handing out my phone number? Yeah, no, I've totally been in family dinner situations like that. My inner fanboy squealed and jumped for delight when I saw her father. Her father was on a 80s, 90s sitcom that I loved growing up called Perfect Strangers, which I've been watching the reruns on Freevee, which is Amazon's like free streaming service. Loved seeing him again on the screen. Like I just loved it.
I did not know
Um,
that, but now thinking back, yeah, he absolutely. Oh my God, that's wild,
yeah,
dude.
yeah, that is Larry Appleton from Perfect Strangers right there.
That's
Um,
wild, man.
yeah, so I was so happy to see him again. Um, but a scene that made me angry for all the right reasons is when she's in the bar and her boss goes to fire her and she's in She-Hulk form. And he said, "I need to talk to you about something serious. Can you transform back?" As if like she couldn't handle or tackle a serious subject matter as She-Hulk. And when the scene starts, the boss is like looking up at her, and when the scene ends, she has shrunk and she's just a few inches shorter than her boss. And that scene really made me mad that like he couldn't tell. I mean, okay, so I sort of get it. She's in Hulk form, and you're afraid she might clobber you in Hulk form. But yeah, it just seemed like I read a lot into that scene. Maybe I read too much into that scene, but I read it as being like, okay, you feel like she can't take life or news seriously as She-Hulk, and B, like you're a man and you're intimidated by this powerful woman, so like you're asking her to like shrink back down to like a size in which like you are taller than her, like that really made me mad in that scene, but I think it made me mad for all the right reasons, so that really stood out to me. And then the phone call with her cousin where he was like, yeah, I was like you said, I was a completely different person back then. He wrote me a really nice haiku, and we patched it all up, so like that's all good. Those were definitely like three moments that really stood out to me in this week's episode that I enjoyed, and then made me mad for all the right reasons, and then I kind of laughed through. That being said, what would you rate this week's episode?
I think I gave last week's episode like an 8 or 8.5. This one, yeah, probably about the same because it was full of kind of. It didn't give me. It wasn't a Hulk fight, but it was still very enjoyable, very funny. I laughed all throughout. Um, and I've just been having a blast with this show so far. I can't wait. I believe the next episode should be coming this week, and I can't wait to talk about it. With you and all of our listeners out there. But what would you rate this week's episode, Sam?
I mean, a solid 8.5 to an 8.8. I mean, like this show is really hitting it out of the gate for me. It's been a solid B plus every week. And I'm just excited to see where the show goes. I'm excited to see what type of, defense, she's gonna have to, put together for Blonsky, especially after, you find out that he, has been slipping in and out of prison to fight in illegal underground fight clubs. Yeah, well, like I said, how do you defend his release then when he's already sneaking out? So yeah, so I'm excited. Like this show has laid a really good and solid groundwork in its first two episodes, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. Alex, any final thoughts on She-Hulk before we wrap everything up here?
There was a little bit of trivia, um, and it says the letters, the law firm that she works for, GLK and H. The letters GLK and H stand for Goodman, Lieber, Kurtzman, and Holloway. The first three names refer to the Marvel Comics founders, publisher Martin Goodman, the writer and artist Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby, who were both born Stan Lieber and Jack Kurtzman. So I thought that was really, it was
Oh,
a really cool kind of like little nod that they had there. Stan, nice to see Stan the Man act still making appearances in these shows, and them finally giving Mr. Jack Kirby some of the recognition that he so deserves. So that's it as far as me. But Sam, do you have anything else to add?
no, just that little piece of trivia just blew my mind there. And yes, Jack Kirby deserves so much more credit than he gets at time. Just huge fan of his work, and he is one of the hugest main reason Marvel works so well, and that we got all these amazing Marvel superheroes. I know, yes, credit to Stan Lee too, man, but Jack Kirby was the man. Love Jack Kirby's work. Cannot say enough about Jack Kirby. That man deserves all the credit and so much more. That being said, this wraps up another great episode of My Comic Life. Shout out to our My Comic Life fan of the week. Yeah, if you're new to this show, if you email us, if you comment on our show on YouTube or Facebook, or if you just, message us and say, hey, I want to be your My Comic Life fan of the week, let us know. We are happy. Like I said, we are a show for the fans, of the fans, by the fans. But anyway, shout out to our My Comic Life fan of the week. Our My Comic Life fan of the week is Theron from Los Angeles, California. Theron, you are our My Comic Life fan of the week. Thank you so much for listening to the show and just commenting and letting us know that, hey, you're out there in the City of Angels listening. Again, Theron, you are our My Comic Life fan of the week. Again, thank you for listening, Theron.
Absolutely, salute to you, Theron. I much appreciate the support. And give me a ring if you need any kind of tutoring help or anything like that, man. I can help you pass the bar. and I can help you with your morbid problems if you need.
All right, folks. Yes, please continue. Social media spread shout out here. Continue to like our Facebook page. If you're new to this, just search My Comic Life on Facebook. Look for that brilliantly drawn My Comic Life logo and click like. We have a YouTube channel. Again, just search My Comic Life. Look for that fabulous My Comic Life logo. Click subscribe. Click the notification bell. That really does help grow the show, and we sincerely appreciate that. And we just launched on Spotify. I will be posting the link shortly to our Spotify channel there. Follow us there. You can now listen to our podcast on a pretty normal platform as you're driving to and from work, and we are very excited about that. Alex, damn it. Oh, man, I'm sorry. Did it again. Apologies to Kevin Smith. Man, I know you got Clerks 3 coming out. We really want to have you on the show to talk about it. Again, apologies to Kevin Smith. Just ran out of time. We will try to squeeze you in next week. But until then, folks, ditch the herd. Be a nerd. Stay strong out there, my friends.